Hello, and welcome to Sideways. Well, this is one of those, I have to say, not that rare occasions where I've left this introduction a bit late. I've forgotten what we spoke about when we recorded this week's episode, and I haven't written anything down, so the details are sparse, to say the least. In fact, the only thing I can tell you with any confidence at all is that we spoke this week about the benefits and the value of hugging each other, ourselves, and inanimate objects. And it was quite an interesting discussion because I think it's probably fair to say that Martin and I come from perhaps slightly different schools of thought. Although we both agree on the benefits of hugging, the context in which it happens differs for each of us. So that's it. There's other stuff as well, the usual tomfoolery. But if you want to know what that sounds like, what the topic of that is, then you'll have to listen. So, that's it. We're going this way, Daisy, this morning. I've reached a fork in the road here where there are two paths, and one dog always wants to go one way, and the other one always wants to go the other. And Daisy, as she is the elder, tends to win out. I mean, I do what she tells me anyway. Well, to be fair, I do what both of them tell me. As a woodpecker. So I was leaving a dramatic pause there, hoping that the woodpecker would make a sound again. Anyway, hugging. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you all right. I'm just trying to work out who that band is on your backdrop. No, I don't know who that is. Who is it?
Spiritual Cramp.
Spiritual Cramp. Have you ever had Spiritual Cramp?
No, well, they were supporting the Hives.
Oh, yeah.
And I quite liked the picture.
Have you ever had the Hives?
That's what you get, like lumps come up, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Not really. I suppose from stinging nettles, I've had them as a kid.
Yeah, because that's hives, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you rub a dock leaf on them?
Of course.
Yeah, apparently that's a myth. Apparently that's a load of old rubbish. Doesn't work.
Well, I suppose as kids, they always used to grow near stinging nettles, so you used it as a bit of first aid while you were there, didn't you?
Yeah, but just proximity is not necessarily an indication of what's the word I'm looking for?
Just that it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Spiritual Cramp, were they good?
Quite excellent, yeah. I think one of the best support bands I've seen for many a long moon.
Okay.
Anyway,
better than See You There supporting 12th Night.
Of course not. No, that goes without saying. But I liked it. Do you remember we went to see the National and Soccer Mom were on there, weren't they?
Yeah, Soccer Mommy. Yeah.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. That's an interesting conversation, actually. Best support bands you've ever seen.
One for another time.
Yeah. Oh, I see you hurrying us along because we're a bit late starting, aren't we?
A little bit.
Did you have a lie-in this morning?
Of course I did, yeah. I didn't get up till about 9:15.
Have we done lie-ins yet?
I don't think we have.
Well, we've done sleep, haven't we? So I guess in a sense we probably have done lie-ins.
Yeah, we could. But there's probably pros and cons.
Well, I think we come from very different schools, don't we? When it comes to lie-ins, we feel very differently about them.
We do. You're up with the lark normally, aren't you? And off out.
Anyway, never mind about all that.
Anyway, what I was going to go on to talk about today, which I prepared my notes on, is hugging.
Right.
Now, this is something that often comes up in recovery group meetings. And
Well, as a topic or as a thing that people do?
It does come up as a topic. Well, both, because anyone that's gone to a fellowship meeting like AA or NA or CA, etc., will relate to the fact that they can be quite huggy.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, most people are comfortable with it, but some people say it can be a bit off-putting, and they don't like it, or they'd even stop going because of it. So
interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to look at the benefits that we can all get from a hug or two. But before we start, now we've just gone past April Fool's Day, haven't we? We're sort of, when I prepared these notes a week ago, we were closer to the 1st of April, so it seemed a little bit more relevant then. But were you aware of any April Fool's jokes this year?
Yeah, I saw a couple. And I can't remember the specifics of it, but I can remember one that did catch me actually for briefly. I thought, oh, that's interesting, and then I realised, oh, hang on, that's a joke, isn't it? Well, I'll tell you what it was. I can remember what it was now, and I feel a bit foolish admitting that I fell for this one. I was scrolling through Instagram, and I saw a post saying that Chris Smalling was coming back to Maidstone United to finish his career there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I thought, and I mean, it seemed implausible, but it almost seemed just about plausible enough. I thought, I can't really remember how old he is, and I don't know where he's playing now. And then after a couple of minutes, I thought, oh, hang on. Okay, it's April the 1st. So, yeah, that one caught me. But not as bad as it's been a very bad spaghetti harvest, like, the famous ones from the past.
That was one of the famous ones from the past, and that's when I was looking back in the archives, because we did mention this probably last year. We talked about, do you remember those people that in Ireland that put up posters about a street festival that wasn't happening?
I do, yeah.
Which is quite good.
Yeah, that is quite good, yeah.
But there's one that caught my eye. Well, it's back from 1980, again, looking back in the past.
All right, yeah.
When the BBC announced that that Big Ben was going to be going digital. So they're going to take the hands off and put a digital screen up there apparently to help tourists tell the time. And I don't know why that particularly. But they said on the BBC that that's going to be happening. And instead of Big Ben, it is now going to be called Digital Dave.
You see, that's going too far, isn't it? I reckon you'd have caught. Well, I think you'd have caught more people if you'd said Big Ben is going to go digital and they're going to change the analog face to a digital one. But then saying it's going to no longer be called Big Ben, it's going to be called Digital Dave. I mean, that stretches credulity to breaking point, doesn't it?
Well, it does. But apparently, the amount of disappointed people that rang in and got in touch, and the complaints that they received was quite, it was overwhelming. Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, some people are so gullible. They imagine that an international footballer would come back to Maidstone United to finish his career.
I don't know where he's got, because he went from Man United. Did he go to Italy? Didn't he?
He was at Roma, wasn't he? He was at Roma, but I don't know where he is now. But he must be cracking on in age now, mustn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's listening, but that's probably not a bad move. Come back to Maidstone.
Yeah, come on back, Chris.
Yeah, for the playoffs.
We'll welcome you. Yeah, especially if you're out of contract. Sure, we can get you on a free. Be laughing.
Yeah.
Anyway, hugging.
All right.
Now, I don't think you're particularly keen on this, are you?
No.
What
do you mean, the topic or the action?
The act of hugging.
No, I'm not. No, I don't like it very much.
I suppose it very much depends upon the parties involved, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You'd always hug your kids or your wife or your husband or whatever. There's probably not an issue there.
Your dogs.
Yeah, well, there's one.
Yeah.
There's one right there. I mean, you give your dogs daily hugs, don't you?
Very much so.
Yeah. So I think that still works. I think you fall into the category of thinking that hugging's okay. That it doesn't have to be people.
I mean, I do think hugging's okay, but I probably where we would put our limits of its okayness, but we might differ in that. I don't know. We'll find out, won't we?
We will. But I'll go through the positives. So they're talking about daily hugging here. So I suspect that if it's sporadic, you don't get quite the same level of benefit.
Are you covering hugging trees as well?
Yeah, I think that you can, can't you?
Yeah.
I think you get
Wasn't
the same response for yourself on this. Obviously, you can't tell how well the tree responds, but
didn't you have a story not so long ago about hugging cows?
we did, and that was where we
That
did
was
discuss that, and that's where you can, yeah, you can go to a local farmer
yeah.
who offers this service. And I think that's about hugging a cow, and they have a lower heartbeat, so your heart
That's right. Yeah.
sinks and you feel much more relaxed.
But you can't just wander into any farm and do it to any farm animal, can you?
Well, I think we did another story about a furious cow at one time, didn't we? That went bananas.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't. No, you can't randomly hug animals, wild
No.
animals,
No.
especially
No.
without the farmer's permission.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, we on the research on this, it suggests that there's evidence that there can be a positive influence on your mental health and reduce depression, and it does it by a number of means. The first is the increased oxytocin levels, which obviously we know
Yeah.
is the love hormone, um, which is released during physical touch, especially hugging.
Yeah.
And it plays a vital role in sort of bonding and trust that help people feel connected. I'm sure that happens with dogs as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's stress buffering,
Yes.
so that the oxytocin reduces activity in the sort of the brain's fear center, helping people feel more safer and secure.
Yeah.
And emotional healing, it can help soothe emotional pain and foster a sense of belonging. And we know that people with depression, their oxytocin levels are often lower, and regular hugging can help restore balance and promote emotional resilience. So, what's not to like about it as far as oxytocin is concerned?
So really, it's in basic terms, it's a physical manifestation of connection, isn't it?
It is.
If you feel connected, the likelihood is you're going to feel safer, more secure,
Absolutely.
less alone, which are emotions. Those are kind of difficult emotions that one would associate with conditions like depression and anxiety. And so the research is suggesting that if you get out there and do a bit of hugging, you can mitigate some of the worst feelings associated with those conditions. Right?
You can, and you mentioned the word connection there, and that's obviously one of the most important words in recovery. We talk about that all the time. So the second part, it does lower the cortisol levels, which is stress reduction.
Yeah.
Because we know cortisol is the hormone that your body releases in response to stress.
Yeah, and anxiety.
And while it can be helpful in short bursts, sort of chronic elevations of that can lead to anxiety. So it can have the opposite effect on irritability.
Yeah.
And it can weaken your immune system and things like that. So hugging sort of activates the, I can never remember the word, but I think it's parasympathetic, something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Which helps to lower the cortisol and to calm the body. The physical reassurance can be especially powerful during emotionally challenging times. So again, hugging increases oxytocin, reduces lower cortisol. So it's again, all round good idea.
So in the research that you were reading, so I'm thinking about this, if you're going through something difficult and you're feeling anxious or stressed or alone or depressed or whatever, and you don't happen to have another human being around or a dog. I mean, you could hug a tree, sure, but was there anything in the research that you looked at about kind of hugging yourself?
There wasn't, but it's an issue which you can do, can't you? It's not quite as easy to do. I think an intervention from either a person or animal certainly helps in that respect.
Yeah, no, the reason I'm thinking about this is because, you'll notice that sometimes when people are feeling in a very emotionally vulnerable place, sometimes people will kind of curl up.
Yeah.
You'll curl up into, which in a sense is a way of hugging yourself, isn't it? You're kind of closing in around yourself.
Yeah.
So So I was just going to say, sometimes that will be an automatic response and you won't necessarily get the benefit from that. But it is worth considering when you're feeling like that, if there isn't an option to kind of hug someone or get hold of a furry animal to hug, thinking about being able to hold yourself can also be quite grounding and helpful.
Wise words. And I think that people often find that in those times of high stress, they may curl up on the bed and go into like fetal position, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Which you can find helps to reduce those symptoms. So it's a good point.
Thank you.
That's very well made, if I may say. So it does. So with the release of those hormones, and on top of that, it's the improved mood and emotional regulation, and via the release of dopamine and serotonin. So it does all sorts of chemical stuff to you when you get involved in hugging.
So again, a question here from your research: did the research find that has this impact on everybody, regardless of their feelings towards hugging?
It didn't actually say that, but it said it can be the levels can vary with people.
Right. Okay. Because I'm just going back to what you were saying at the start about how in the fellowships, for example, some people might stop going to the fellowship because they're quite huggy. I mean, one would imagine then that hugging, certainly in that context, is not having that sort of impact on those people. It's kind of doing the reverse, isn't it?
Which is why it's important that it's a. I suppose both people have got to be happy with that, aren't they? It's
context specific, isn't it?
It is.
I think the point that you were making, if I understood you correctly, was everyone can benefit from hugging, which I think is probably true. But it's the judicious choice of someone or something to hug that makes it beneficial in the ways that you've just outlined.
I would agree, and I think it's got to be consensual. You can't just go out to someone random in the street and start hugging them. I think you'd end up getting a slap, wouldn't you? So, the context is very relevant.
You see that sometimes, don't you? I haven't seen it for a while, but you see sort of people out in the street with a sign saying "free hugs," stuff like that. Have you seen that? Have you ever thought of doing that?
No. Not to either receive one or to put.
Not to receive one, to be a giver of hugs.
No, I haven't. No.
Do you see? Would you consider yourself a good hugger?
I think so. I think so. I do enjoy hugging.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Too much information, but
I find that it does all it says on this particular tin that I've opened and talking to you about.
Well, let me ask you another question. I don't want to ruin your flow because I know it's easy for me to do that. But if I don't ask these things as they come into my head, I'll forget them.
Of course.
The modern man, I've noticed. So, men of my son's generation, they're quite huggy. They tend to hug one another when they meet their friends. Our generation didn't do that, did we?
No.
So if I think of my friends, I think I've only got one friend who will greet me with a hug, and it's lovely. It's really nice. I enjoy that. We're good friends. We've been friends for a long time. I wonder how would you feel about a man, a sort of male friend of yours hugging you? Does that have the same impact? Do you like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it.
Why don't you ever hug me then when you see me?
I don't.
Do you hate me?
We've grown up never hugging. I think.
That's the thing. So do you think that's the sort of thing that's quite difficult to change when you've established a kind of a sort of status? Do you think it's difficult?
Yeah, I do, and I think that I think it revolves around, certainly in our generation, the generation before. It was almost a question mark against his sexuality if you did that. If a man hugged another man, of which nowadays it's no longer an issue. But back then there was a certain standoff.
But don't you think it's I think that's probably right. But don't you think it's funny that that's something that doesn't tend to change in male friendships very much?
Yeah.
Whatever standard was set, if we put it like that, it doesn't seem very easy to change it, which is an interesting thing, isn't it?
It is, and it's not something I particularly thought about, but it is. Yeah, it's. I suppose we're all products of our environment, and certainly products of our upbringing. Yeah, and it is nice when you see it's that hugs are more easily given and received these days. Yeah.
So basically, men of our age should start hugging our friends, shouldn't we?
I think so. I'll give you a hug next time I see you. See how you feel.
Yeah, because these are, these benefits that you just outlined,
Yeah.
they should certainly be available to people who've had long-term friendship, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I do. And you have sort of interrupted my flow somewhat, but I think I can get back on track with me notes.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah, we do. We can, because I'll go on to the bit, because we touched on the dopamine and serotonin. I didn't go into great detail about that there. But again, these chemicals can often be imbalanced in people with depression. So hugging acts as a natural mood booster to help reduce feelings of sadness or emptiness and increase motivation and energy and that sort of thing. But I think it's the strengthened relationships and social support where I see it happen in the recovery community. It is hugging when in the rehab where I work. Obviously, it's very much frowned upon if people do get close to each other. We don't encourage social contact, close contact.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about intimacy? Are you talking about intimacy?
Yeah, we don't. Yes, we don't.
Shagging? Are you talking?
We are talking that, but again, so it's just about physical contact. We don't.
But where do you stand on hugs in rehab then?
We allow it when someone's done their life story.
Right. Okay.
And when someone does, when the leavers group, then everyone, the person that's in the chair doing their life story, will stand up and get hugs from everyone else in the room as they go out. So it's a sort
what
of.
What if they don't want them?
We give them the opportunity to say, "Do you want that or not?" Some people have said no. It's rare, rare that people say no, but because then it's in a controlled environment, we can just see people hug and off they go. It's fine.
Okay, nice.
But I think it is also quite interesting to watch, to see. I always do. I see how the hugs can be of different length, can't they? They can be of different severity. So it's a non-verbal communication. And so it's quite. You can see if people are. You can see if they're perhaps closer than they should be outside of the confines of the meeting rooms.
Or if they're uncomfortable in that embrace,
or if they're uncomfortable, both. Yeah. So it's quite a.
What would you do in that situation? Would you intervene? What would you do? So if you saw a lingering hug that suggested, something more than support and friendship, or you saw someone in a hug and you could see they were kind of visibly stiffening, as it were, not in that way. What can you do though when you're in that situation? Do you do anything?
Not at the time, no. But you mentioned it. You pull them aside later on,
right?
And just say, or you'd refer back to your staff at that point to see if anyone's noticed anything. It could be a one-off. So yes, it just raises a little bit of a red flag, really.
Interesting. All right.
Okay. So those are sort of what we touched upon there. Are sort of the emotional benefits, but there are some physical health benefits that support the mental health as well.
Okay.
Because they can be interconnected, and hugging contributes to the physical well-being in ways that indirectly support mental health. For example, it does lower your blood pressure if it's the right person again. So hugging can reduce tension and sort of improve cardiovascular health. And we touched upon it as well. So it can boost your immune system.
Yeah.
So reduced stress can lead to a stronger immune response. And we talked about sleep as well, and improved sleep. The calming effects of hugging can help regulate sleep patterns, which are often disrupted in depression. Now, look, if you've probably noticed, we've often talked, or we've talked throughout this episode about about depression and how this can help to offset it. So I think hugging coming from a place when you're both, if two people are hugging and they're not depressed, I think it has a different feel. But to someone that is suffering depression, it can help to boost all these particular chemical reactions.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think often when people are depressed, this would kind of fall into the category of things that would be good for them, but they don't feel like they want to do.
Yeah.
Like if you say to someone depressed, well, go out for a walk, because if you get a bit of fresh air and listen to the sounds of nature, you'll probably feel a bit better. And whilst that is true, a lot of people when they're depressed think, I can't be bothered. I don't want to. And I think, I wonder if hugging might fall into that same category where, yes, there would be tangible benefits, but in a sense, if you're not in that sort of space where you can access those benefits, you might resist someone hugging you anyway, or you might, one of the things that's certainly true of depression is people who are depressed tend to isolate.
They do, because sometimes they see it as hugging as a biological and psychological intervention almost.
Well, I mean, it is, isn't it?
Well, it is. If someone's not open to it, is it an intervention? Or
well, yeah, I mean, an intervention quite often takes place when someone's not open to it, doesn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, when you were in the depths of the madness, I mean, I know you isolated anyway. You were very good at kind of staying separate, but had on the occasion that you would, let someone into your life, if they want to give you a hug, what would you have felt like, you think?
Yeah, good.
Right.
Yeah,
do you know what? Why is that? Because there you are in a space in your life. Sorry to center it on you, but I know that you were kind of in that emotional space. There you are in a situation where you're essentially detaching yourself from life, and then if someone's there and gives you a hug, it's like to feel that there would be some benefit from that seems to be contrary to the way that you are operating in the rest of your life. What would it have been that would have been the kind of message you were receiving from a hug in that situation, do you think?
In that situation, you feel like you don't deserve it.
Okay, right.
You could, because your self-esteem is obviously so low at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think perhaps they're just being a bit. I can't think of the word particularly, but if it's not particularly genuine.
Yeah, they're just being kind because they think they should do.
Yeah, but again, it depends upon who's dishing it out, I suppose.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, it did depend upon that. But what I think, for me, I'm a tactile person, and so it was an unnatural period of my life where I was having no physical contact.
Right. So you're kind of in a way that one of the positives you're getting there is you're being reminded of the importance of feeling connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you're in a space where you can't be connected. It's like a beacon of light somewhere in the distance. I'm being reminded of my natural inclination here. Whatever message I give myself about why this person's doing this, what I know, what is irrefutable is that I quite like this.
And that's right, because you come from that point where your self-esteem is very low, and you feel like you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But if as your recovery starts to gather pace, I think when people, which is why it's so prevalent in the fellowships, when people do start to hug each other, it's starting to boost yourself. Saying, well, if someone's hugging me, perhaps I am worth it. They don't need to, but they do. And so, it's a gradual process. So it's an easing back into that that I think is a good illustration of when your recovery is starting to improve.
Okay, good.
So it's simple as that, really. It's in a world where most people feel disconnected or overwhelmed. Sometimes, a simple hug can be a powerful antidote. I'm a fan, and I've seen a lot of people grow, especially in recovery, when they do accept a hug.
Yeah, I'm a fan of selective hugging.
Oh, I think we all are there. I think it can't be a scattergun approach. That's for sure.
Yeah. But what I mean is, and I think you made this point earlier on, it's the importance of both parties being on the same page is important.
Yeah, I'd say.
There's fundamental benefit in hugging for everyone, but different people might have different feelings about the context and the situation in which hugging is helpful.
I agree.
So perhaps don't go into the supermarket today and hug whoever's serving at the checkout. That might be a bit over the top, mightn't it?
I think you get a slap, wouldn't you? Yeah, it wouldn't.
You would in Aldi, I reckon.
Well, yeah, definitely in Aldi, but yeah, the context is all important there. That's for sure. So that's really me.
Very good.
Finished on hugging.
Lovely.
I know it was I knew when I was writing the notes, I thought, well, Graham won't be up to. I know he's not great at this sort of thing.
No, I quite enjoyed that subject because, as I say, I think
I mean the physical aspect.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think as you said earlier on, there are certain people in my life who I'm very happy to hug, but it's a small circle. It's a small circle.
Yeah.
So what we do now, is it the conundrum now?
We are on to the conundrum, yeah.
Oh, well, that's good because I've got a hugging conundrum.
Which fits in perfectly.
We've kind of dealt with this, but I thought it would, if we hadn't covered it in our previous conversation, I thought it would give us an opportunity to do so. So I've deliberately created a situation which would be familiar to both of us. Okay, so a client, me, resident, you, asks for a hug at the end of a particularly emotional session, right, from you or from me. What do you do?
Well, we have strict rules about that, and we're not allowed to do that. Right.
So what would you, because I'm the same. It's ethically, I know that not every therapist would agree with me, but ethically I feel like, no, that's not okay. Yeah. But if you've been in a session with someone and they've been particularly affected and they've come specifically to you and asked you for a hug, how would you handle that? What would you do?
You'd have to say, do you know what? I'm not allowed to. So it's even though it may benefit you, I can't do it. There are rules here, but there's boundaries and there's guidelines, and it would make it very difficult for me with my employers.
So it's not happened then to you?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd do the same sort of thing. Although I was saying to my daughter this morning that it's interesting that in all the years I've been in practice, I must give off a vibe that I'm not up for hugging because no one's ever. I've had some really emotional sessions with people, and no one's ever asked me. And I think there must be something in my vibe that says that wouldn't go down very well.
Well, where does it stop? Do you have a handshake?
Yeah, I would. I'd give someone a handshake. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, but that would be. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, aside from a handshake, physical contact is not okay in therapy.
No.
I mean, it could, apart from anything else, it could very easily be misconstrued.
Yes, and that's where that's where you have to maintain that professional boundary, don't you?
Yeah.
So not much of a conundrum, really, because I think it was a straightforward answer, wasn't it, on that one?
Yeah, all right, don't tear it down. Christ. I did my best.
Well, you did, but you've been tearing through my notes ever since we started this episode.
No, I've not been tearing through them. I've been questioning you. I've been interested in your perspective and the the whole question of hugging and its context specific nature.
Yeah, good. No, I think you did a good job. It wouldn't be right if we just went through and just agreed with everything I said, or had no question, just sat there going, That wouldn't be good.
Well, it'd be boring, wouldn't it?
It would. And I wouldn't be, I don't think either of us would be very grateful for that.
Oh.
Clunky?
No, that was good. I thought that was good. I thought it was a good one.
So on to gratitude, yeah.
So me or you?
You can go first.
All right. Well, I know I've had this one before on more than one occasion, but I'll explain why I'm having it today. So today, I'm feeling grateful for being alive.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason for that is the reason that I had to record a bit later this morning is because I had to give my daughter a lift to the railway station, Gatwick railway station. She's going to Brighton to watch her closest friend run her first marathon.
Oh, lovely.
And her friends, and the reason her friend's running a marathon is because her dad, my friend and contemporary, died last year from pancreatic cancer.
Oh, okay.
30 days from diagnosis to death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
quite
awful.
a shock and terrible. And she's raised, I think, about £7,000 for Pancreatic Cancer UK.
Wow,
And
that's fantastic.
And my daughter said to me yesterday, because originally I was going to give her a lift to Ebbsfleet and she was going to get the train into London and then down to Brighton from there. And then I said to her, well, I can just drive you to Gatwick. It's only a 40-minute longer journey for me. And she said, yeah, if you're happy to do that. And I thought, well, I'm alive, aren't I? I can. You've still got me here to do things for you and to spend time with you. And Tegan hasn't got that. So it felt like something that was very easy to feel grateful for today.
And I think that's a lesson we can all learn from that, can't we?
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to run a marathon, though.
Or get pancreatic cancer. I mean, it's...
neither of those.
No. But I think, yeah, it is those causes. It's strange how a cause that suddenly comes close to home becomes much more important. So, no, good on them. Anyone's involved in that fundraising, hats off to them.
So I hope she will finish. There's no question about that. But there we are. Yeah.
So good.
Hang on, there's a massive wasp, I think, about flying through my window.
So that could make you unalive, wouldn't it, if it started stinging you?
Yeah, if I went into anaphylactic shock,
Yeah,
is that what you
exactly.
get from? Is that what you get from
I think
stings?
so. I think, yeah, something like that. isn't it?
Anaphylaxis, I think it is.
I think so. So, yeah, if you've got an allergy involved there.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull that. Oh, Christ, it is in. Hang on a minute. I'm going to have to get rid of it.
Okay.
Pause for a sec. I'm back.
Good. Well, that's on my gratitude. You've added to my gratitude list because I'm grateful to see you panic when you're likely to get stung.
It was a sleepy one. You know what they're like.
Oh, they're more dangerous, aren't they?
Yeah. It was. Anyway, I'm glad it gave you a bit of fun.
It gives us a little bit of mirth, and I think we're all a little bit more dangerous when we're sleeping.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah,
a wasp or a bee. Yeah, but seeing you panic and run around, I thought that was quite. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. Thank you. But I'm also grateful for seeing all three of my grandsons this week.
Oh, that's lovely. What, in 1 week?
It was a sort of deferred Easter
Wow.
thing. So because I was working on Easter Monday, I wasn't able to join in some of the Easter festivities. So I went to see my two eldest ones on Tuesday, and on yesterday my youngest one came to see me with his
How
parents.
lovely.
Obviously.
That's nice.
So I got to see all my three grandsons this week. Plus,
Did you have Easter eggs?
And Easter eggs was a bonus as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're working Bank Holiday Monday. You seem to have a fetish about working on public holidays.
Well, they're not automatically part of our holiday rota. So, addiction doesn't take a day off, does it? So we have to work Christmas. I've worked Christmas Day.
Yeah, but you always seem to be working those days. I know. Obviously, you can't say to people who, sorry, we're not coming in today because it's bank holiday. But you seem to work all of those. You seem to have a particular fondness for working on public holidays.
Well, I think there is you can request to take that. If I wanted to not work on that Monday, I'd have had to have requested it as an annual leave day.
Yeah.
In advance. And I think I don't really worry about
you
that.
don't care anyway, do you? Because I think you said to me before you prefer people who've got kind of, families that they live with, that they have those days off, which is very magnanimous of you.
I think I'm quite happy to do that, as I've worked the last 2 Christmas days and Boxing Days. I'm all right.
Yeah, that's right. Makes you seem kind, doesn't it? Which is odd, really.
Yeah. It's just surface, isn't it? It's a particular mask that I wear. We haven't done one on masks, have we? The masks we wear?
No, we haven't. No, we could do masking. Yeah, I could do that one. I could do that one after I've done the ick.
Oh yes, because you're up for what? Have you got any? Are they a lot in the? Have you done anything on? Well, certainly on.
No, but I need. In order to do stuff like that, I need a deadline. I need to be told you're doing the next episode, and then I'll do it.
All right, well, you can do the ick next week then, if you're, 2 weeks' time then.
All right. Yeah. I'll do the ick. Oh, crikey, I've got the ick now. Yeah, I'll do the. All right, I'll do the ick in for the next episode.
Yeah.
That's a trailer we've just done. We've just written a trailer.
And we've never done that before, have we?
No.
No, we're getting used to this after 7 years or whatever it is.
All
Anyway,
right.
we get on to the lyric challenge, but the first lyric, actually, we know you were talking just a few moments ago about the best support bands you've seen.
Yes. Yeah.
And it started to go through my mind then, because I think the first time I saw a band and thought, wow, as a support band,
Yeah.
I think it was with a band I'd never heard of before, was Iron Maiden, when they were supporting Judas Priest.
Oh.
And I'd never heard of Iron Maiden at that point. And that one, I thought, wow, they're fantastic. So the lyric I'm going to give you of the first of the 4 questions is, I've got 2 tickets for Iron Maiden, baby. Do you know where that comes from?
It rang a bell when you said it, but I'm not sure. I've got 2 tickets for Iron Maiden, baby. Can you give me anything else?
Not really, no. Not really.
Please. What genre is it?
Well, it's sort of, the sort of American.
Oh, hang on. I think I've got it. Is it? It's not Teenage Dirtbag, is it?
It is Teenage Dirtbag.
I can't remember who Teenage Dirtbag's by, though. Is it? Yeah, and I can hear the song. Does it begin with O?
No.
No. How many words is it?
1.
Bloody hell. What does it begin with?
W.
Oh, Weezer.
No.
Is it No. Oh.
Nearly there.
We golf. Is it we something?
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell. No, go on. What is it?
Wheatus.
That's it. Oh, well, I must get a point for the song, presumably.
You get a point for the song, yeah.
Right.
That's no problem.
There we are. That's good. As something faint was moving in the back of my head, and it came to the fore, so I'm grateful for my brain.
You did well to sort of to move that from the back
from
to
the filing cabinet onto the
desk.
desk.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. All right.
The second one is, I blame you for the moonlit sky and the dream that died with the eagle's flight.
Is this Tanita Tikaram Sleeping Satellite?
You got 1 point for the title of the track.
Have I got the wrong artist?
You got the wrong artist.
Oh, so it's not Tanita Tikaram. It is Sleeping Satellites, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Who's it by then? I can hear it. What is it then today? I can get the flipping songs. I can't get any of the artists.
Yeah.
Sleeping Satellite by, what's her initials?
TA.
So I was right with Tanita, except it's not Tanita.
It's not Tanita. Starts with a T. You're very close.
No, I don't think I'm going to get this. Oh, hang on. Is it no, something? Oh, I can't remember. What is it?
It's Tasmin Archer.
Tasmin bloody Archer. Yeah. Well, that's a blast from the past.
It is. And this one's a bit of a blast from the past as well.
Oh, okay.
So the third question, all the men are gargoyles dipped long in Irish stout.
Oh, this isn't ringing a bell at all. You say this is a blast from the past.
Well, it's sort of 80s, early 90s.
All the men are gargoyles. What?
Dipped long in Irish stout.
Is this an Irish band?
No.
Oh. What genre?
They're sort of indie pop. No, not indie. They're sort of poppy,
I'm not going to get this.
sort of a pop.
I'm not going to get this. It's absolutely blank on this one. Is it someone I like?
I think you might like the lead singer. I can't remember if we've ever discussed this particular band.
Hmm.
I think you do like them.
Did the lead singer do solo work then as well?
He did, but he was also in a band before, a successful band beforehand.
So it's obviously a band that's quite lyrical.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So I'm going to have two guesses,
Okay.
right, for the band. I mean, I'm really got no idea, but I'm going to guess Prefab Sprout or
No.
Deacon Blue.
No,
No, I don't know then.
right sort of era. It's a song called Rotterdam by the Beautiful South.
Oh, yeah, I don't like the Beautiful South.
I didn't think
No.
you're not a big Paul Heaton fan,
No, I didn't like the House Martins either.
didn't you? No, well, I love
No.
them. So
Yeah.
there we go.
They definitely would not feature in the middle of the Venn diagram, our Venn diagram of musical tastes.
Would you hug Paul Heaton?
It depends. If we
Yeah.
were friends, I would. But if I'd just done an emotional session with him and he asked for a hug, I'd say no.
Okay.
I'd say you did that bloody Caravan of Love and I didn't like it, so stop it.
Do you know what? I think it was the only number one that the House Martins had, and it was the one I liked least of
Yeah,
all their tracks.
Yeah.
Well,
Was Happy Hour not number one?
No,
That's mad, isn't it? Because that
it is mad.
was a proper single.
Yeah, it was, and that's what got me into the House Martins, that particular single. I thought it was lovely. Anyway, the 4-pointer then.
Yeah. What have I got so far? Two points, haven't I? Oh dear,
Two-
oh dear.
2 points.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
So the 4-pointer is, I look up at your house and I can almost hear you shout down to me.
It's not ringing any bells. That's unfortunate. I look up at your house and I can almost hear your voice shout down to me.
Not your voice. I look up at your house
Not that it matters.
and I can almost hear you shout down to me.
What era?
Early 80s.
I look up at your house. Early 80s. This is a band I like.
I can't comment on that. You probably did.
Is it Dire Straits?
I don't think you probably. It's not Dire Straits. No.
I was just thinking of. Go on.
I'm not sure if you bothered to have an opinion about this band or not.
Oh, so they might have kind of passed me by a little bit. Yeah. Unless you can give me anything else, I think I'm going to strike out on this one.
Well, I was trying to think of. I can't remember the lead singer's name now. It's a girl. It's a girl lead singer.
Oh, okay. Early 80s, girl lead singer.
And the band is 4 separate words or 4 words.
Oh. Blimey, 4 words. 4 words. Girl singer. Is it that what are they called? Is it Sixpence None the Richer?
No, but that's a good shout. That fits
Cool, that
into
would have been magnificent if I'd have pulled that one out of nowhere. Oh, what a shame. No, I'll give up then. I think that's probably, I'm not going to get any better than that.
No, it's Everything But the Girl.
Oh, yeah, okay. I liked some of their stuff.
You
I
remember
don't
the
know
track?
what song it is, though. No. Which one is it?
Missing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that. So I've got a massive 2 points then.
2 points. Well,
I'm virtually like Tottenham Hotspur.
You had to bring you down to a shape. You had got way too many last week, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did get a lot, didn't I? Yeah. It's kind of it's so quite difficult to ride this emotional roller coaster of the lyric quiz. You know, one week I do well and I think, actually, I'm quite good with lyrics. And then the next week I realise that I'm really terrible at them.
Perhaps I subconsciously toughen them up a little bit.
I think you do. I think you're having a negative impact on my mental health with this quiz.
Do you need a hug?
No.
I can send you a virtual hug.
That's right. I'll go downstairs, see the dogs in a minute.
Oh, yeah, that'll sort it out.
They'll sort me out. All right.
Good.
Nice one.
Laters.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.